Despite it being humanity's constant companion through all of recorded time, the moon is still a mystery. Science hasn't been able to explain how the moon was formed, its unusual orbit, its distance from us, its density, its composition, and its structure. These are all still questions. Now, there are theories about the moon that solve some of these puzzles, but they don't solve all of them. There is only one theory that answers every scientific question about the moon. Just one. This theory says that the moon wasn't here from the beginning, but it is an artificial structure brought here by someone else. And guess what? It's hollow and rings like a bell. Let's begin at the start. We're taught that the moon has always been there. But there's significant debate about this because some scientists can't agree on its formation. The first theory is the capture theory, which suggests that the moon was wandering around through space, came near Earth, and got pulled into its orbit. This scenario is highly improbable. Another theory is the accretion theory, proposing that the moon and Earth formed from dust clouds in the early solar system. However, if this were true, the moon would share similar characteristics with Earth, like having an iron core and spinning on its axis, but doesn't. The fission hypothesis was popular for a time, suggesting that the early Earth spun so fast that it flung out a chunk of rock from the Pacific Ocean, which became the moon. However, moon rocks are much older than the ocean floor, making this theory unlikely. The most widely accepted explanation is the giant impact theory, which suggests that a Mars-sized object collided with proto-Earth. The resulting debris created the Earth-Moon system. However, the conditions for this to happen are so precise that the odds are astronomical. Currently, a new theory combines elements of all of these. A large object collided with Earth around 4.5 billion years ago, vaporizing both. This vapor formed a rapidly spinning structure called a sentia, shaped like a donut, with the moon forming at its edge. Despite all of this, we still don't know how the moon was created. One might think that bringing back moon rocks would answer these questions, but instead, they have only created more mysteries. Moon rocks and soil samples brought back from the moon are strange. On Earth, new rocks are found at the surface, and rocks get older as you go deeper, an obvious and logical progression. However, on the moon, the surface soil is older than the rocks underneath, and the surface rocks are older than those beneath them. This reversal is unlike anything we've seen on Earth, where it only occurs when we drill, dig, and mine, bringing older material to the surface. But on the moon, this phenomenon is everywhere. If the moon were somehow hollowed out, all the rock would end up on top. Yet anomalies don't stop there. Typically, planetary structures have denser materials at their core and lighter materials near the surface. On the moon, this order is reversed as well, and no one has a solid explanation for it. The moon's surface is marked by billions of years of asteroid impacts, so you would expect the rocks around these craters to vary in age. However, there is strange uniformity in the ages of these rocks. Additionally, the chemical composition of lunar dust is odd. If it's resulted from billions of years of impacts, why does it differ chemically from our surrounding rocks? Another mystery is that although the moon lacks a magnetic field, moon rocks are strongly magnetized. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old, yet our older rocks are much younger than the moon rocks, some of which date back to the very beginning of the solar system, and even earlier. Moon samples contain uranium-236 and neptunium-237, elements that don't occur naturally and are only produced artificially on Earth. Metals like titanium, chromium, and zirconium, which are rare on Earth, are abundant on the Moon. If the Earth and the Moon form together, why is there such a large discrepancy? These metals are among the strongest and most corrosion-resistant materials, known ideally for structural reinforcement. This explains why moon craters are all similar in depth, regardless of the width, as if a resilient metallic shell beneath the surface prevents further penetration. To test the hollow moon theory, instruments on the moon's surface could detect seismic activity from deliberate impacts. We have actually done such an experiment, and the result? The moon is indeed hollow. After returning to the command module, the Apollo 12 crew intentionally released the lunar lander, crashing it into the moon's surface. The result was unexpected. Seismic measurements revealed that the moon rang like a bell and reverberated for over an hour. This was caused by a relatively small object compared to the moon's size. During Apollo 13, an even heavier object was crashed into the moon, and this time the moon rang for over 3 hours, with reverberations reaching the depth of 20 miles. This phenomenon doesn't occur on Earth. Here, reverberation lasts only a few minutes due to Earth density, and vibrations slow down as they move toward the dense core. However, vibrations on the moon increase in speed, around 40 miles down, suggesting the moon interior is not only less dense, but possibly contain large hollow cavities. The moon's density is puzzling. It's about 25% the size of Earth, but only about 1% of Earth density. A hollow moon could explain this discrepancy. Beyond its density, the moon has unique characteristics, and coincidence not seen elsewhere. The moon resembles a planet more than a typical moon. At 1/4 the size of Earth, no other object in the solar system has moon this size. This situation is unique, not observed in our solar system or any other known systems. Moreover, the moon orbits much closer than it should, and its orbit is a mystery. It is the only object observed with a nearly perfect circular object. This is also unique. Due to this near-perfect orbit, its size, and its distance from Earth, the moon appears almost the exact same size as the sun in the sky, which enables full eclipses. Our distance to the sun is 400 times our distance to the moon, and the sun is 400 times larger than the moon. Could this be a coincidence? Possibly. But when coincidences accumulate, we might need to reconsider our assumptions and keep an open mind. This shift in thinking occurred in 1970, when two Soviet scientists examined all the evidence and coincidences and arrived at what they believed was the only logical conclusion. Despite acknowledging the apparent absurdity, they proposed that the moon is not only hollow, but also a spacecraft that traveled here in the distant past. Now, this leads us to a new question. Who built the moon? Every ancient culture on Earth has stories about the moon. But the further back you go, the fewer such stories exist. If you go back far enough, some tales describe a sky before the moon arrived. Roman and Greek authors in the 5th century BC wrote about the Brocellines, who lived in Arcadia and claimed they had been there since before the moon appeared in the heavens. Similarly, on the other side of the world, the ancient Tiwanaku culture in Bolivia speaks of a time without a moon, claiming it arrived between 11,500 and 13,000 years ago. If you are interested in ancient theories, you recognize that this time frame aligns with the Younger Dryas period, a time associated with various myths and mysteries. In Africa, Zulu legends specifically state that the moon is hollow and inhabited by intelligent race of reptilian extraterrestrials, also known as lizard people. According to the Zulu belief, the moon was placed in orbit by two brother gods, a legend that mirrors Sumerian beliefs. The Sumerians had a story of two brothers, Enki and Enlil, called the Anunnaki, who were extraterrestrial gods credited with creating mankind. The Zulu also believe that before the moon arrived, Earth's climate was very different. There were no seasons, and a thick blanket of water vapor covered the entire planet. We now know that the moon stabilizes our climate. Without its gravity, Earth axis would wobble, causing inconsistent seasons, no tides, and extreme weather. The moon's presence allowed life on Earth to thrive. According to Zulu legends, the Earth was covered by a thick layer of water vapor, and the sun could only be seen through a hazy mist. When the moon was placed into orbit, all of this water vapor fell at once, causing a cataclysmic global flood. Cultures around the world have myths that align remarkably well with each other, and the coincidences keep accumulating. The Zulu legend describes how the moon's arrival changed the tides and stabilized the climate, an understanding science only reached in the past century. Yet, the ancient Zulu somehow connected the moon to the tides and seasons. These myths and legends, combined with the strange coincidences and anomalies of the moon, build a compelling theory that the moon is hollow, artificial, and placed by intelligent beings long ago. However, coincidences and myths are proof. To make a strong case, we need hard and recent evidence of what's been happening on the moon. Fortunately, the evidence is there. Science tells us that the moon is a cold, lifeless place, it has no atmosphere, no recent seismic activity, and a cold core unlike Earth. However, for a supposedly dead world, there's a surprising amount of activity. On March 7, 1971, a cloud of water vapor appeared on the moon, covering 100 square miles for 14 hours before dissipating. The moon isn't supposed to have an atmosphere, yet for those 14 hours, it did. In fact, 6 astronomers over the past century have documented a glowing mist in the Plato crater. Same mist, same crater over many years. Boulder tracks are common on the moon. But how do boulders roll for miles and then go uphill, as shown in some photos? Since Aristotle's time, astronomers have observed strange lights on the moon, sometimes visible to the naked eye. NASA reported that between 1540 and 1967, there were 570 unexplained light flashes on the moon. These sightings continue to this day. The Aristotle crater was photographed in 1992. Revealing a glowing blue light known as the blue gem, which has been seen by Earth-based telescopes every few years since. Some speculate it's a fusion reactor. These mysterious lights and mist are so frequent they have a name: transient lunar phenomena. Numerous photographs show what appear to be artificial objects on the moon's surface. Several miles high, pyramids and symmetrical structures captured by astronomers, probes, and even astronauts. The biggest mystery of all of this is why I haven't returned to the moon. Sergeant Cowolf, an Air Force technician, reported seeing photos of artificial structures on the moon while repairing equipment that transferred lunar satellite images. He described these structures as a base, corroborated by another technician. Wolf, who wasn't a UFO enthusiast, expected NASA to explain these images. But the photos never appeared in the news. These early NASA photos showed large, tall structures casting shadows, and these are photos I'd like to learn more about. But I can't, because they no longer exist. Almost immediately after landing on the moon, the Apollo 11 crew reported seeing something that unsettled them. Watching the press conference they gave upon their return, they don't look like men who made history or had a life-changing experience.
It's a beginning of a new age.
Instead, they appear sad, frightened, uncomfortable, and even depressed. Why is that? Is there a reason we haven't returned to the moon? Could it be that the Apollo mission discovered something ancient cultures knew centuries ago? Some reputable scientists believe that the only answer to the moon's many mysteries is that it's not what it seems. They propose that the moon is hollow, artificially constructed, and arrive in Earth orbit from somewhere far away. Does this theory make sense to you? It does to me. So what science say about the hollow moon spaceship theory? The formation of the moon remains unknown, giving the theory a point over science. The density problem is often attributed to the giant impact theory, which suggests that the moon formed from Earth's less dense upper mantle. However, this theory is likely incorrect, and the torus-shaped formation theory also fails to explain the density discrepancy. We're told the moon rings like a bell because it's less dense and its rocks contain less water, allowing vibration to reverberate longer and further. While this can't be proven definitely, it's an explanation. Science wins when it comes to perfect eclipses, as they are close but not exact. Besides, the moon is drifting further from Earth each year, making eclipses less perfect over time. Regardless of whether the moon arrived 14,000 years ago or billions of years ago, it was once much closer to Earth, appearing larger in the sky. NASA asserts that seismic observations indicate the moon isn't hollow, which is a valid point, but still conjecture. After all, we don't know for certain what's at the center of the Earth, much less what's at the center of the moon. So can we really sure about the moon's true nature? Now it's claimed that these structures are merely shadows or optical illusions, and the lights are attributed to the meteor impacts or reflections from gassy patches on the surface. But I disagree. Here's the bottom line. Yes, the hollow moon spaceship theory is quite outlandish, I'll admit that. Many of the anomalies observed on the moon can indeed be explained. These explanations may not be flawless, but they suffice to satisfy skeptics, of whom I count myself as one. However, I remain open-minded. My primary goal is to uncover the truth. Initially, when I began researching this story, I anticipated it would be an intriguing read, perhaps a straightforward debunking of a hoax theory with soiled scientific evidence, yet that hasn't been the case. The sheer volume of unknowns and unexplainable phenomenon surrounding the moon gives me pause. Something about the narrative we have been given about the moon doesn't sit quite right with me. As always, space agency and the governments they represent are selective about images and information they release. So here's a message to all those capable of returning humans to the moon, like NASA, the European Space Agency, Russia, China, India, and Elon Musk. If you want us to trust your explanation, you'll need to provide solid evidence to support them. Anyway, that's all I could find about the hollow moon theory. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. If you have found this video entertaining, please leave a thumbs up. This is Jeff, and this has been another episode of Mysteries Unraveled. See you in the next one.